About what ethnography is, because ethnographic films and ethnography, all culture that we have, all traditions, it is connected somehow with the religion and with the beliefs. And this film is an example of how our beliefs, still alive, is making some tradition and way of living and make the culture. We are so happy to see you here, and I have a first question. Usually it's so hard to make a documentary and to make a story when you cannot play some things, and especially if it is about some mystical things, you know, that you cannot show it. You are showing us like the all mystics in the film we feel like. Was it difficult to make it, the film, and if film has all your desires and expectations all that you wanted to say, did you say it in the film?
Thank you very much, Rocco Film Festival, Iwianch, to you, to be here, thank you, very special for me, thank you. About the question, yeah, this film took a while to be understood by the makers, we say that, because we lived this and we didn't knew what we were living, and all the time this happened through a okay. I think because it took several years to do it, we were always tempted to comment or to give our opinion of what was going on, but at the same time we had so much respect for this culture that is not my culture. It's close. It is in my country, but we have so many cultures in my country, and so we spent a lot of time with a version of the film that had no opinion of the makers. But at some point I felt we were living this too. I was there too. So what happened is also part of the documentary. Someone that is not from that culture, who was holding the camera, speaks about his experience too. So that's when I included, and that was that gave a lot of freedom to make the film, because I could express my thoughts or my intuitions and dreams, and not to feel like I am talking for someone else. I'm talking for me. So that was very liberating, and yeah, as you said about the expectation, I'm so happy to be here and you are watching the film, and I complete my expectation. I'm very happy, yes.
I have a question, because in the introduction before the film, the ethnographer from, by the way, local ethnographic museum, she says that you made your film on the border between documentary and fiction. And actually at some documentary film festival there are quite strict criteria regarding documentary, and like including any kind of, you know, fantasies are not very welcomed. Not at our festival, we are very in favor, you know, of this thing, and we really think that this archetypal approach tells a lot about identities and cultures. So I have rather abstract question. What is your
that I tell in this film, but when people gather in the community, they still talk about this. I was searching for a translator in the capital, and I found in the Linguistic Academy or something like that, and then he knew about the story because he heard about it. So it was nice. It was a collaboration, a creative collaboration with the community members. So that was very, very interesting to do. And even if they had to portray Iwianch, which you know by the film that there is a lot of respect to do this. So it was difficult to find someone to represent or to be the actress of Iwianch. That was also very beautiful because it was elderly people from the community. Ermelinda Hua, when we were looking, there was a few people saying, no, we cannot do that, and then she just stand up and said, I will do it because I know the day that I will die, because I've seen, so I am not afraid of death, and I will do it. you know, it's Amazon. There is a lot of deepness in the religion and spirituality, and
you already touched upon some technical specifications of your work, and since we are at Camera Image, which pays attention a lot to how films made, I wanted to ask about your work with sound design, because in this film, like when I was just watching the submission on my laptop, I immediately was like, wow, I need to hear it on a big screen, and like today it was absolutely immersive experience. But many of the sounds that you use, like they're completely unexplainable, they're unlogical, they're very mystical. So how do you actually work with the sound design?
Yeah, thank you for that question, because it was a lot of fun to when we were not so when we stopped having so much doubts about what we are doing, and then we were just in the studio editing. That was a lot of fun, and trying to understand from the deepness of the story how to portray. And in the sound, we thank you very much for the good sound. I was very happy to hear the sound today. As the image, as the sound, we try to understand how this story that happened very anciently and is orally told and is written in some chronicles very antique from Spanish missionaries. Now it is on digital video, so it is a strange format for this story, and how does the digital format relates to the story. So we thought on people who tried to, okay, there was a lot of concepts there, like for example dreaming. When you fall asleep, there is a moment while you don't sleep complete and you are still awake, and sometimes this gap where dreams enters into reality. So we were thinking on this gap. For a certain period of time, the film was called Portal, because it was like this gap where is this gap with spirits comes to material and takes a human. So thinking on this, on image and sound, we found the image. It's also in digital. It's also it's solid by numbers. And when engineer came, he broke the numbers, and he mixed the images we want to mix by putting the numbers in a certain way, and we made a lot of tests, mistakes, until we found some beautiful, or what we wanted to do with this melting of the image, and then with the sound the same. We were tracing these people that tries to record ghosts. It's called psychophony. I don't know if you have heard. So they try to understand when you are in a place that is charged with energy. They made recordings, and it's very interesting and mysterious. Sometimes things are recorded and inexplicably. You cannot explain why that song, where no one is there, it's sounding. There is a lot of information about that. So we were thinking on how to understand sound from there. Yeah, I have a very great team. The musician, he's a scholar of music, so he tried to understand the Anent music, which is the sacred music of the Shuar. They have such a great culture. They have music for having fun, like music and then they have also music for plant growing. You sing them to the plants, and then you have shaman music, which is the sacred music that my friend and colleague musician tried to understand, and we had both musics, the music from the Amazon, the music made in the city by this intervention, and at the same time this idea of devil. Devil is not a good translation for Iwianch. So all of this was on the table. He analyzed the forbidden music, which was diabolic, from the devil music that was forbidden for. So he analyzed also what was the how to compose this, and yeah, so he was very happy with this work, having a lot of fun with these ideas.
Yes, the result is amazing, really.
Prepare your question if you have to the director, and I have, yeah, maybe already somebody wants to ask director. I have a question. Tell me please more about this community, because you are a guest there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't live there, and you are not from there. So you are a typical town citizen, yeah? How it is like for this contrast, because all these beliefs and traditions is staying in the village, in this community, yeah, in far from the town. Do they want to move to the town, or they are satisfied with what they have?
Yeah, that's a big question, you know. It's, I think maybe it's everywhere in the world that this westernized big need of, or that this, people want, like the last film we watched that I enjoyed a lot, I want to, from China. People from China want to go to Europe. And, it's the same here, but I think it depends on the people, because there's a lot of people who really believe in their culture. A lot of people, like most of the people that appears in the film, and they don't have the need of they do have Catholicism, like this melting of, but that has not erased. It's a melting, you know the word, no, syncretism. That is very old, so it's there, but there is no it's very strong, their culture, and they respect and believe in and live their own culture. But the main problem is, as you saw in the film, mining and oil extraction, which is the end, because it's not that they will begin to melt, nothing will be there, a big hole. Already happened in the first community that you saw. That community is not the same anymore, because the hole is not in that community, it's a few kilometers down, but it's a big, gigantic hole, you know, the big mining pit. And but that community is already had a lot more problems now, because the city came to them with that violence, and now you enter by car, you used to walk to have, and I don't know, people's hearts is the same, but they are just too much exposed to Western, to the worst part of Western culture. Yeah, but the worst part, like people, I don't know, prostitution comes immediately. So that is the real problem. You cannot tell anyone to believe in, live your life from your own roots. It's the same for us. We have our own roots, Ukrainian, Ecuadorian. Me too, I have my own roots, and I can try to live my life as my grandparents, or not. That depends on me. That depends on them. but that is something external that comes and destroys everything. So this film also is very important to, especially in my country, to show it. I want to make a distribution in my country because I need people to go out to the strikes because that's the only way to chase international oil investment.
Yeah, it's really great that your film is not only showing culture but actually making the impact, and it might give some inspiration, you know, for other struggles of preserving identity. But my next question would be rather in different direction. Since you spent so many times with them and you witnessed some unique rituals and you kind of gained their trust, you know, have you been an observer and more of a researcher there? Have you experienced anything, you know, unusual, mystical, otherworldly? Like
we, all the team, we have a lot of respect of, because there is this tourism of people that goes to have psychedelic experiences, not that much in Ecuador, it's more in other countries.
No, I'm talking not like necessarily psychedelic experience, but like your, you know, personal feeling of the world, you know, like dreams, maybe something on that level more rather than just...
I think in that aspect it's the same as the first question, because you're living there, you're having the same fears, we're sharing the same fear that the boy is not appearing, that what happened is also a mystery for them, Iwianch. They know about Iwianch, we know little, but still it's a mystery for all, and we are living together this, so we do have this dream together, and it's beautiful because you wake up every day at 4 a.m., every day in the life, to have tea. Wayusa tea, it's a tea. And then you talk about dreams from 4 a.m. until 7 a.m. Dreams, this is the way of life.
Oh my God,
so
I have to move there.
it's very, very interesting that, and so you want it or not, you relate to dreams culturally, and everyone is, and that is very beautiful because, you know, when Pedro appeared, a lot of people dreamt, and maybe we also as a community here in Torum, people is dreaming the same, but no one's sitting to talk about these things because it's not our culture. So it was a very, very beautiful experience, and I think for us, for the team, it really, we felt different after doing the film.
This is so common thing for so many religions, and in Christianity also. We have we believe in dreams. In what meaning? That dreams are something that God gave us the answer. Yes, but you know, during all this process, starting our film festival, this is our 3rd year, and watching a lot of films, I always ask myself one question after such kind of films as yours. Civilization and globalization bring to these people something or take from them. These people, they achieve with the globalization or they lose. Because we had one film, second meet or
Second encounter.
yeah, second encounter about the also British community in the Brazil. Yes, in jungle. They live, you know, in the forest, and Brazil makes like social program for them to socialize them, and they lost for one generation. Only one generation, they became citizens of Brazil. They already know and study Portuguese and everything. And for one generation, they lost all their traditions. You know, not all, okay, but the most. They are not naked anymore as they were. And old people, they share their thoughts that. it was forbidden for their community to marry white person, but their girls started to marry the person and forgot their language, and they are only one generation that knows this language. So with their death, this language will disappear, and this folk will disappear actually because it's assimilating. And this is the the questions that I want to get an answer, because I know I understand that globalization is a big process on our planet, and we cannot stop it. But how can we making this not losing our roots, not losing our traditions? Somehow it's natural, because they are losing, they are lost by themselves. I mean, because we start to educate it, we know something new, and it's no need to make some traditions, for example, connecting with agriculture, because we don't make this agriculture anymore. Do you understand what I'm talking about? It's like about losing.
Yes.
How many people live in this community? Like, and their language, how big it is?
Okay, the community have 11 elders, and then from them there is these families. I don't know exactly how many, but I think they know what. I understand the question, and I think they know what you're talking about in this community, because for us to film there, we had to spend in my friend's house. Just we entered his house, and then we spent there a few days until the community unites and understand that we are not there for oil extraction, for example, that what we are going to do if we do the film, what we are going to leave, because we're taking images, what we're going to leave. So they have a clarity on this, and they are well organized. There is that they are a nation. They are in Ecuador, but they are also in Peru, and it is called the Achuar nation. That awareness is very important, I think, but the question you have is also a question I have, and I think it's a very important question, and I think, for example, it's not a thing of equal that is being maybe merging. No, it is as the world from rich countries that wants to take the extract there, and that's how also like religion came for that reason, so they can enter, because they lost the war. The Spaniards lost the war against the Amazon. That's why Amazon is a lot less colonized thinking and living, because they lost the war, because they are warriors, and every time the Spaniards try to enter there, they lose the war. So that's why for a long period, in I think 50s or 60s, they remained, there was this barrier until religion came. They accepted religion, and then oil extraction came. So I think it's more a question about how to defend themselves, and I think in that sense also they know, I've heard from them, the necessity of make these links with the city for survival reasons. For example, you heard Wahari telling me that he dreamt that we were coming. There is several dreams of the community, of the Achuar as a country, thinking of making links with people from the city for survival reasons. Recently, the government, the Brazilian, in 2019, before COVID, the Amazon was burning, and it was on purpose. The farmers from Brazil were burning the Amazon because they need the land for soya, soja, and this was not stopped. Even if the people were calling by HF, this was not stopped until images came, because there was no camera to show. When images came, then it was in New York Times, El País, the Amazon is burning, and then the international community point finger Bolsonaro and said, and Bolsonaro had to do something to stop that. Then you see the necessity of camera in Amazon, in the hands of the community. to show what is going on, because an HF call that you saw in the film that is very common is not enough. Image is very strong, and that's a way of, and that comes from the city, and it's a way of defending. I have other examples about this, but maybe you wanted to.
I want to thank you, first of all, for that you saved their history, and it can be like a book for investigation then for next generation also, because we are losing again, I will tell you. And in that film that I mentioned before, it was the same. They understood why they were socialized like by the government, because government needs this land. And actually they fight with this, but they are weak. And this film also make this, you know, this focus on them in front of journalists and in front of all power in the government. And I hope that they can create some more conditions to defend their culture and to defend their identity, because this is so important. Giving them civilization, to not take of their beliefs and their way of life. Please, questions, yeah.
Thank you again for this movie. It was very touching for me to see a lot of spirituality and the depth of the topic that you touched. And I was wondering if the idea of making this documentary came to you with many years of being interested in the tales of the Amazon, or it was a specific moment when you had a calling to touch this specific topic, and if the plant medicine was changing the way the documentary evolved in the meantime. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the film came as a result of storytelling, about understanding what we just were talking now about the loss of stories. Like I knew when I first came to Amazon, I was following a biologist friend who was searching for a frog, and our guide was a shark. And I began to talk to my friend Shark Herman, who is in the film, and then I forgot about the frog, and then just was talking and thinking what an amazing culture. And then I was invited to his house, and in the process I was beginning to be very interested in storytelling as a drawer, as an illustrator, and then I understood what is told in the film, that if you go to the grandparents, the stories multiplies, and if you go to the grandparents of people who live further in Amazon, there is our universe. So that was like a seek I had, and we were recording. We had a lot of recordings of stories. Some people have passed that told that stories, and maybe their sons don't know these stories. Maybe that is the only recording, you know. Maybe someone else knows in some other community that story. But during the process of this, we were trying to publish the stories. We published the first one. The Achuar community is a community that had a lot of humor, and so the first story was a comedy, and then the second one was an erotic film, because they also had a lot of erotic tales. And we were in the middle of the second story when we go with the camera, and suddenly this happens. So mythology took us to a place where mythology was alive, so alive that we couldn't record all the story, because mythology was happening. So that's why we thought this is a special story, and we took care of the story. We have to find the best way of telling this, and that's why it took so many years to find the font, to do a good color correction, good sound design. We didn't want to finish just like that. And about, you had another question about the plants.
Yeah,
Is
if in the meantime the plant medicine that appeared in the story, if it changed your approach of wanting to tell the story and like to include this like dreamy and fantasy-like moments that were not so usual for a documentary, like if the plant medicine had any impact on you wanting to put this kind of scenes in the documentary?
I think from the beginning, not during the film, but from before filming, I was amazed by medicine in Amazon. Maybe it did affect, for example, when you hear when the screen goes off and you hear different voices, you hear children. Maybe it's difficult to really understand that this is children saying. They are doing that because they had ayahuasca. The children, the little children, and they don't want to be afraid. So they do that, and they say, we don't want to go too far, we want to stay close, so we don't get afraid. And the idea of not to feel fear is a very important idea on mature people in order to receive the strength. Like they have this search of, so during plant medicine, ritual, religion, there is a very important thing of not to feel fear and to find the confidence to feel, to move and not to get dizzy. So these ideas might be there, like on the film. Maybe yes, this did affect. But I also want to talk now that you question about the plants, about the medicine physical, not just religious, psychological, spiritual medicine, but also the physical. We were healed by the community several times by different sickness we had, like flu, for example. We were healed of flu like this with a plant, like a big leaf. Put it in your face. After you put it, you cry and mucus and cry, and then 15 minutes you don't have flu. Things like that. Amazing. And someone, the biologist friend I was following, his feet was dislocated. I don't know what happened to his feet. He could not walk. The father of Germán told him, I'm gonna cure you, but you have to follow everything I say. And he said, okay, cure me. And he brought a flower and a mix of flowers, and he put it in the part that, and he said, you're gonna fall asleep, and the doctor is gonna come. You have to allow the doctor to work. And he said, okay. He put that, and he felt so much pain, and he fell asleep. Next day, he could walk. And then we asked what happened in the night, and he said, doctors came and healed my feet. And it was doctors from the city with this blue thing and everything. So we are really, all the team that was there was truly amazed by the knowledge of medicine, for example. And that is another big problem, medicine companies that don't want this to be so much expanded, but because of the control of medicine, you know.
First, I'd like to say congratulations. It looked great. And my question concerns the episodes that occurred throughout the documentary, where the images were transformed, distorted, almost destroyed. I wanted to know, what does these images mean to you, and what was the process throughout the creative decision?
Mm-hmm. It's a good question. I don't know how to start with, because there are, I think each one is different, each moment is different. I don't know, I had the dreams of the community and my dreams, for example. And the dreams of the community was saying something, so maybe the translation is difficult only if you recognize Spanish, you will notice, but when the dreams are in Achuar, are the dreams of the community, and when the dreams are in Spanish, are my dreams. So we include all dreams in the film, and the meanings are different. I can share maybe that the shaman being green, for example, that's part of this. It doesn't come from the imagination, it comes from somewhere else. And the decision of destroying the image came from what we were just speaking about, the understanding of the digital, because it's a format that is totally opposite to organic nature, where we are surrounded by that and we're holding a digital camera. So that was like a search that we had on this, and the connection between the image and the dreams. We recently presented this film in a university in Ecuador of anthropology, and I met people who were doing incredible, amazing researches. One of them was researching a community in the north of Colombia, in the Amazon of Colombia, that received film, had a lot of relation with film because of projects of teaching to use the camera. And he was doing a research about how the community accepted digital video. And he was amazed because when he entered in this aspect, he understood that the community was putting video recording into the same aspect of religiousness, of dreaming, of shamanism. Because it's a way of portraying, of repeating. It's very clear, like your dream or my dream in the night. It's very clear and it's very real. So I don't know much about that research. I was just amazed when he told me that he's now dead. I don't know, I'm talking about other stuff, sorry.
From talking about this, I thought that the representation of the fire was a portal, or sort of make-believe vehicle for us, the audience, at those moments, because I saw it was very present when there's distortion of the image, the fire was there, as if we were looking at the fire and we were seeing things or dreams or tales, and I thought it worked really well to allow ourselves to sort of relax and sort of have pleasure towards those images merged together.
Thank you.
This guy was first, and then we'll come to you.
Thank you. So first of all, I really enjoyed the movie. It's a very fascinating work. I would like to touch up on what Ms. Anna started with. So it's blending together documentary and maybe fiction or fantasy with, I would say, even a bit of like elements of horror movie. But did you get any backlash from the academic community, or have you had any like unpleasant comments about like losing any research value of that movie because of the added fiction element and dream elements? Because as you mentioned, you've been to the academia with that movie, so I was wondering if you had any negative feedback from them about that.
During the thank you for the question. It's something that maybe broke us in two at some point, because when we were doing the film, not specifically in the fiction, but on the way of doing it, we were broken too by academia. You know, I am not the anthropologist, and then we found the necessity of getting together with anthropologists because they study this every day of their life and they understand how is the approach. I did not ask permission, but that was something naive because of the friendship. I just felt we are friends, and all the time doing filming with the camera, never felt not comfortable to film. I was and the people, that's another film, Amazon friends coming to my house in the city. And so that was like exchange, very beautiful. I actually feel nostalgic when I see the film. I haven't seen them in a while. So that was a criticism that we need to have a formal agreement, and then we did it. But they say that this is you are doing the same extraction of images. I never felt like that, but it was a big thing, and they say you cannot continue until you have the permission. And we went, and of course I had the permission, but then they say, you don't have the permission of the president of the National Actual Committee. Then I felt very okay. I had to go to the national president and show the film, and I was shaking that he said I don't like it or something. But he was very happy, and he gave the formal permission. And on that sense, I had a lot. This was like a school for us that we are not anthropologists about power relations and telling a story about someone else, documentary. But in the sense of the fiction moments, on the opposite, it had a well-received as University of Montpellier in France made a research of written, I don't know what's the name, about the film and about especially on the fiction moments, on the research in general was about human becoming animal. It was an anthropology study, and in film. And they found Iwianch, and then we began to work, and they wrote about it, and it was not criticism, they were interested. But we did receive criticism from academy, they are very harsh, I don't know.
I will be very down to earth, but I would like you to explain what was your equipment, because I'm still amazed you could film so much without electricity, especially in digital, because how did you do with the batteries? So
yeah, no, so that was the most thrilling thing, like I was like a lot of adrenaline was in me all the time, and that it's beautiful. Documentary is beautiful because you cannot plan, you have to be present, no? And what you feel. You don't have batteries, you have to be more present and to really be cautious on what you feel. So it was, I always took a camera that took photographs from 2003 to 2010 or 2009 maybe. Then I was able to buy a T3i Canon, which was more affordable camera that film. I was so happy I can film. That was the first journey. And it was the first time I could film. So it was also, that is part of the beauty of the film, which makes for us, the makers, more special, because it came in the exact moment. Otherwise it would be just photograph. And we had 2 batteries and, I don't know, 16 gigabytes of film. We filming in full HD, and we delete everything that we didn't need it during every time because SD was a problem too. And then that's why we needed to come back, because I deleted all the beautiful plants and birds, and I had to delete because it was more important, the documentary thing. So we came back to film all that again. And then we came back with Canon, a little better, but not still was not a big jump in technology, and that was very nice. We were with a cinematographer now, and she had the idea of using all lenses. she loved the old lenses, we adapt, and then we had more chances, and then we had no problem, had a lot of batteries and SD, and you feel okay. And then I think for the water we use GoPro. I think it was like really not so much, we didn't knew too much, and we did it with the best we could. Yeah. The film, like technically you can say it is filmed from 2003 to 2008. You have footage from all that space of time. The moment of the disappearance, all that is pictures, photographs. Filming is from 2010. From 2010 to 2018, more or less. That was the last journey we made.
Good job. Yeah, one more question. You can make a big discussion, you know?
The battery is out of charge, I believe, because I know that. Yeah.
Okay.
So the story takes, especially that you talk about tales, telling tales, discovering tales, and basically this story you tell a new tale, right? You discover it, and this story itself becomes a tale. And so these tales that you found and you were trying to discover, were in the context of the village. And you mentioned the elders who were the ones who knew about the tales and shared the tales. And I was wondering if we expanded the village to a global scale, and then we thought like, okay, so the whole world is a village. And then, because you're now telling these tales, the role of elder is transposed to the filmmaker, for example. So you become an elder back on the cross, and I tell you this stuff that you don't know about, that you experience. And then through the digital format, you're able, your voice is so ever present, right? As we leave cinema, what we remember is mostly is your voice and that resonates with us, and the words that you talk resonate with us. And so the medium is actually quite similar to the ones you mentioned in the village and how we tell the stories. And so I wanted to that connection with
Maybe that's why maybe it was not heard the question before in the background about the relation between oral history of the elders with the filmmaking. Maybe that's why there is this amazing recipient of the community of the digital camera. They are not saying, okay, this is like a flute. They are not putting in the arts equipment. They are putting in the shamanic equipment, ritual equipment. They are thinking, okay, this is a tool of that table. So I think because it is a way of telling that I don't think it's stronger than oral history or literature, for example. When you hear a story that someone tells you, and that was a beautiful thing that we really wanted to have a black screen for Pedro saying as long as possible we try to hold that black screen because it happens here. Everything happens in the minds of the people who hears, and everyone has its own image. And the brain is working a lot more than TV, for example, where everything is chewed and you receive something very easy, your brain has nothing to do. But for example, in this sense, it is a craft filmmaking that allows you to make it exactly as you want. You have a lot of time to tell that story. It's not that we are together, I tell the story, maybe I could tell it better, but we have a lot of time to present it to you as we want. So for example, and you can share with people that helps you how to tell this story better. You know? For example, the story itself is the most important for us. That's why maybe that's our main focus. So what is this person doing in there? Maybe you notice that I'm not the person that acts like the like the documentaries, or it seems like it's his voice. He is my friend, and we always went together to some of these journeys, and he was in the film every time. So someone who watched the film, which I found very important in filmmaking, is someone who also makes films, comes and watches films and tells you something. He told me, what is he doing there? And said, it's my friend, he's like a representative of the city. And he said, no, he's not doing nothing. I said, okay, so then later, he is me. And then, because no one knows me, so he can be me. And then those kind of things, later on someone says, but who's holding the camera? If he's you, who holds the camera? And then, oh, the folder of making of, we open and say, okay, let's show the team. Things like that helps to create a story that is more, that's filmmaking. You can tell the story as you want. It's not improvising. You improvise while you are doing it, but when you show it, it's the one that you chose. So maybe that's interesting for the community too. It's different from storytelling. That storytelling is more like life and theater or something.
Thank you for your story. I know you have a lot of questions, and you can ask him after finishing Q&A panel, because we have next screening, and we are happy to announce that this film is Ukrainian film, next film, and it is also about religion, about Christianity, about Catholic girl that go to make a devotion to the Christ and devote her life, and this way and this choice was judged by her sister, and this is like a film about conflict with one family and conflict inside every person that make decision for something, and it's amazing film. It was made before a war started. And now, while we are waiting for this film, please, you can also buy the markets. We have a market that we gather funds for our army, for special group of army that is in Belgrade, where our festival is. If you want to support Ukraine and somehow to have some memory from Ukraine, there is souvenirs and our merch. And now we want to present you our prize for participation. This is the diploma, and this brick is like made by craftsmen. This is this is handmade prize, and the interesting thing is I tell this to everybody that it is made by the soldier of our army. He is a craftsman, but since war started, he go to the front, and he took vacation special for us to make this. This for you. So I hope you will have this part of Ukraine, and you will stand with Ukraine with this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are waiting for the next film and waiting you on the next screen.
Everybody who stays for the next movie, please check again with the volunteers at the entrance. Thank you.